Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Let's Play Feed the Beast. This is episode 12, I think. For you, it may have been like 2 weeks since you've seen any content from me. For me, it's been like probably a month and a half since I recorded. It's been a long time. I went away to work and for a business trip, and I came back, and I was just trying to get things situated. I hadn't had any time to record until just now. So I don't really know where I left off at the end of episode 11. But this is the bee house as it stands right now. There are a couple holes in the floor because I've got more plans for the bee house. But I think I said somewhere that I was going to, not be in the bee house for the rest of eternity. So, this is what it looks like, feature complete. But we're going to do a little bit more with it at a later date. And I'm going to explain probably what we're going to do somewhere in this episode. But, for right now, this is just what it looks like. Got all these barrels on the side that house what the bees are producing. So yeah. Now, I have to apologize. I said I couldn't record, that didn't mean I couldn't play. So when I got back, after not being able to log onto the server for like a month, I kind of started fleshing out ideas. So I'm going to go through what those changes were, what I've done. So first things first, this is what I first built. And this is just a refinery, like what we had in the basement of the castle. Only it's got much bigger tanks. 6 million and 6 million instead of 1.6 million. Not exactly sure. I don't remember how big the smaller tanks were. But, so I've got one refinery here. That's all that it really needs. And then up here, I've sort of, if you remember that tentacled mess in the basement of the tower, I've sort of compacted that. It's still not the neatest looking thing in the world, but it all fits on top of this tank for the most part. This sort of overshoots, but whatever. So we've got everything just sitting here, everything's powered, and these two alvears are producing oil. And we've got this item tesseract here hooked up to the basement. The basement bees, because I don't feel like moving them. So they're just shooting their comb through here. And so basically 4 alvears worth of distilled bees producing the oil for the power plant, which was the second thing I started working on. And I moved this steam generator out of the basement of the tower, and built another one, and then built 3 more of these turbine housings. One thing I didn't actually realize about these is that if there's no place for them to put power, they will just shut down. And it does all that automatically, which is really nice. I didn't realize that. So that's pretty helpful. I haven't had to replace, I think I've only replaced 1 turbine rotor, and it's been like half a month or something like that, maybe a little bit less. So that's good, and we're keeping up with steam. All very good. Got enough fuel. One thing I did find out though, for all you people that are interested in making steam generators, if you have 3 of these turbine housings set up on one boiler, you aren't going to get max power. So 2 per boiler is how you're going to get all your turbine housings to run at 100% if need be. So that's just something to know. And all of these are piped underground, all the fuel and all that. And each of these has a aqueous accumulator buried under there. And so that's how that's getting power. And we got this guy right here. It's taking the power from the power plant, which right now is just these two boilers. And 4 turbine housings, obviously. These are both upgraded with the circuit boards that I have over in the B house. And this energy cell is pumping down into a tesseract, which is then being sent over there for powering the refinery and the machines up there. It's also powering some stuff over there. Excuse me. So those are all set up with the iron gates that have them automatically shut off when this doesn't need any power. So now we move over here, and this has a couple of components. First, I moved all of the machines, with the exception of the matter fab. Moved them all out here. So the Minecraft Joule producer over there, that powers all of this, and my assembly table. And then all the EU comes out of there and into this MFSU, which then powers everything else. Now, this is actually something I regret not filming. I did this like the day before I left, so I just didn't have time to finish up an episode on it and whatever. So what this is this is generating industrial TNT and pumping it out here so I can use it in my implosion compressor. How it works is pretty simple, actually. We've got 2 igneous extruders. Both of them are producing cobblestone, and you don't need to keep the lava and the water filled. I don't know what's up with my throat today. Jeez. You don't need to keep that supplied. You just throw in 1 bucket of each, and it will make cobblestone for the rest of eternity. As you can see, I'm wasting a bunch of stuff here. Mostly because I've been too lazy to figure out a solution for it, and it's not getting in the way of anything, so I don't really mind. So let's go on this side first, because this has what I think the more interesting thing is. So we've got this igneous extruder producing cobblestone, and it's pumping that out on the bottom and throwing it into this grinder. The grinder will grind up cobblestone and turn it into gravel. And this is sort of a weird thing because it's, if I remember correctly, the only machine that runs off of this power source, which is called charge. It's from factorization, I believe. And so you've got your grinder, use lead wire to connect it to this solar turbine, which you have to put over an infinite source of water, and it will automatically suck up some water, as you can see, I think. Yeah, you can see how it's sort of filled up in there. And we'll do that if there's an infinite source of water under it. And then you have to put all these reflective mirrors around facing it. So when it's sunny out, this will start spinning to produce charge for the grinder, which will turn the cobble into gravel. And then this will automatically suck it out and throw it into a pulverizer, which pulverizes the gravel and turns it into flint. And flint goes down here and into this auto crafting table for the ITNT. So then we go over to this side, and this side produces the cobblestone, which gets pulverized into sand. And it also has a 10% chance of turning pulverized cobble into gravel. So any gravel that it pumps out goes out this side and just into this guy right here. But the sand goes into this auto crafting table to make normal TNT, which then, there it goes, into here to make the iTNT. And finally, the last bit is I've got this item tesseract hooked up to a few alvearies in the desert, which I can show, and I will in 1 second. And they just pump their powdery comb into here, and it gets centrifuged and turned into gunpowder to make the TNT. So it's basically, it's pretty compact, and yeah, I'm proud of how it turned out, except for it's got a whole bunch of these extra items flying all over the place. Oh well. I mean, like I said, it's got its own room, so nothing gets in the way of anything, and it just runs on its own. It requires very little power. The only thing that's powering it is this industrial steam engine hooked up to an energy cell. And that keeps everything powered. The only thing is I'm using a liquid tesseract to pump the steam over here. No big deal. As you saw before, the steam isn't running out. So, that's what that is. That's the big machine that I worked on that I didn't record. Once again, I apologize. But, you know, sometimes I get ideas and I just have to roll with them and I can't record. So I'm going to show you the setup that I have going. And this is a huge mess. It doesn't need to look nice because I'm only here once every so often. I got 3 alvearies with austere bees in them. That's it. They're all getting piped around. This setup should look familiar. And yeah, they just go down. All the barren comb, or parched combs, they just go into this void pipe, disappear, don't care about them. All the other, all those things, powdery combs, go into the tesseract, all over there to be centrifuged and turn into iTNT. And it's a little weird to be in this place now because it's all empty. I've got a packet crafter, packet smasher, whatever it's called. That's all I got over here now. Ooh, I got an iron gate that I can probably salvage. And I took out everything that was in here. It's just these 4 advanced solar panels and this semi-fluid generator, which I don't use. They're all just directly powering this the matter fab, and that's pretty much the only purpose that this place has at the current time. I'm gonna eventually have Thaumcraft stuff overflowing in here eventually. The server's been getting pretty dead, so logging in is not as rewarding as it once was, but I'm going to keep making videos. And there might be like a server switch at some point, but I'll let you know. I don't really know the plans. I'll let you know what happens. Let's see. Is there anything I haven't covered that I've done yet? Don't think so. I think that might be everything. I made another blast furnace to go on the side of this. Oh, I know. So, alright. This is going to be my sort of warehouse, storage area, room thing. And right now it's only holding like raw gems and ores, or the processed gems and ores, from that processed ores chest in the tower. And what I'm going to end up doing is I've got a tunnel underneath pretty much every machine here. As you can see, that I'm going to hook pipes and gates up to. And eventually that's all going to run in there, so I don't even need to worry about taking items out. I can just have them piped as soon as they're done being processed. And they're going to go... my solution is this router with the bandwidth upgrade. And if you aren't familiar with how the router works, it's kind of a really bizarre crafting thing. Egg, ender pearl, eye of ender, and then dark iron ingots, which I believe I talked about in one of the past episodes when I talked about wrath lamps. But it creates this router, which doesn't require any power. And when an item goes into this slot, you see how that disappeared? Any chest that is chest or barrel that is connected to it, and any chest or barrel that is connected to any chest or barrel connected to it, so you can do these long chains like this, is considered part of this router's network. So if it's got a place to put something like a titanium ingot or the aluminum ingot, it will automatically place it in there. No need for pipes, as long as it's just connected to something that's connected to it. That chains indefinitely, which is pretty awesome. It's not super smart. Barrels and their ability to only hold one item doesn't trip it up, but if you have, say, if I had this guy empty and this guy empty, and I put a stack in there, it would throw one over here, then one over here, then one over here, and one over here, yada 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 yada. So it would end up splitting whatever you put into it. So when you're organizing a lot of stuff, you kind of need to just put one barrel at a time, wait for it to go through, put another one down, it'll do the next item, yada yada yada. Which is really only a big deal if, in my case, I was moving an entire chest worth of miscellaneous stuff. It would, throw in 6 iron bars, and then it would move on to the next slot, which was a gold bar, and it would trip that up pretty hard. But once you get all the things moved, it's not a big deal at all. And especially once you have just one thing pumping out at a time from these machines, it's not going to be a big issue. So I'm going to have everything just piped directly into this router, and that'll be great. So yeah, what else? This is going to be a shortish video. So let me talk to you about plans, where I'm going next. So this bee house, I know I said that I didn't want to be in the bee house for the rest of eternity, but I just got ideas for it. This bee house has cut down my alveoli production time immensely. Like, if you guys have seen the first few videos, you know that it took me like a week to get my first alveoli. And that was a week of constantly tending my 3 apiaries to get the right materials, throwing them into my shitty carpenter and all that nonsense. Like, it's literally a week of playing. And this has cut it down so it takes like a third of a day. I can pump out alveolis like nobody's business at this point. But it does require some manual tending. And a problem that I kept running into, especially when I was away and I could only log on once in a very long time, like every weekend or something like that, I'd have access to internet that could actually sustain a connection to the server. Things like this would happen where it would run out of wood in one slot and then it would just fill it up with a disproportionate amount of everything else. And you just kind of have to manually tend and try to make sure that everything's, you know, kind of, you have to work out the kinks manually yourself. And I've got no problem doing that, but it could be automatic. And that's kind of what Feed the Beast is all about. How can I come up with this machine that does what I want it to, have it be entirely self-sustaining? And for the longest time, I thought it would be impossible because I don't have a way of getting wood, basically. But then I found out about an item, and it's called the Fabricator. It comes from Zycraft, which when I first started playing, Zycraft had shit nothing in terms of functional blocks. They were all around just to look nice. But now that's changed. They've got this Fabricator, which works like an auto crafting bench, but it plays nicely with alkahestry. And so I can use that to make the wood, to make it self-sufficient. So what I'm going to do, and this might be a 2-episode deal, I'm going to get it set up so this is automatically producing scented panels. And then once it's automatically producing scented panels and impregnated casings, I think. Once it's doing that and automatically producing alveary blocks, the next step is to go and change this whole setup. Because right now you can see that it's only giving us tiny piles of dust. There's an item, I forget the name, it's called like a packager or something like that. Packager. This thing. This will take any item that is made by putting other items in a 3x3 or 2x2. You just feed those items into it, and it will make the item. So these take a 2x2. To make a pile of dust, it takes 4 tiny piles in a 2x2 pattern. So you just feed 4 tiny piles of dust into the packager, and it will make the pile of dust, which is what I actually use to do things. So I can do something with that and just have it feed the dust that it gets from the comb, feed it in there, and just send it over to the warehouse right away. Another option is, if I don't feel like doing it the right way, if I don't feel like doing it like that, I could also just set up an auto crafting table for each of the types of dust that I get, which wouldn't be a big issue. Auto crafting tables are cheap, and I have a pretty finite amount of tiny dusts that I actually use. Like, I can't think of another bead that I would use that would give me another tiny pile of dust. So something to think about. But that's where we stand. And that's what you've missed. Once again, I apologize for just not making a video out of doing stuff like this, because this is a big change that you've missed out on. So I'm going to try to keep videos rolling out from now on. I don't have to go anywhere for a couple weeks. So maybe we'll get that project started soon. Hope you guys enjoyed. Sorry I've been absent for so long. And we'll see you next time.